You know, maybe you haven't noticed what's been going on the past few months because you just started interested in upgrading your PC right now. You have a system that you think is fine. Why is there dust floating everywhere? And you're content with what you have. Honestly, couldn't be better timing. Right now, the graphics card market is so freaking screwed up that it's deterring a lot of people from wanting to build right now. And I'm going to talk about some of the reasons why this is the case. Now, obviously, we've had the issue with Ampere scalpers, the bots and scripts being used to buy these up in bulk, flip them on eBay for double MSRP, right? That's been happening since the 3070, 3080, 3090, 3060 Ti, and now the 3060 have launched. But there's more to the story. We also have tariffs, which a lot of the waivers that were awarded to Chinese exporters have expired now. They expired January 1st or thereabouts 2021. That was literally 2 months ago as of time of filming. And that means that we are being forced to pay more now for those imports. Tariffs affect the people who are buying the goods from other countries. And that has affected graphics card prices. There's also the effect of mining, which I feel like it's gone under the radar quite a bit. I know Pedro over at PCMR is talking about how not many people were talking about mining a month ago, even though Bitcoin and other cryptocurrency prices were skyrocketing. That is a serious issue. All that's compounding into the perfect storm for graphics card prices. It is bad for the general consumer. It is getting so bad to the point where, again, people are just giving up. They're giving up, they're losing hope, that, or they're spending 3 times MSRP, and I'm not exaggerating with that number, 3 times MSRP to get a brand new card. It's insane. We're gonna talk about some of those trends we see right now. Stay with me. Ultra portable Team Group T-Force Gaming A2 SD cards boast fast reads and writes, making them perfect for cell phones, 4K cameras, and even Nintendo Switches. And enjoy peace of mind with a lifetime warranty. You can find them in 256 and 512 gig capacities via the link below. So we're gonna start off with PC part picker price trends, and I've linked this down below if you wanna check it out yourself, but this specifically is for the video card category. We're gonna skip over Turing because these aren't necessarily relevant to the new market anymore. We're gonna start first off with the RTX 3060 Ti, one of the more popular Ampere cards that were launched this year. This is, you see that little bump right there? This bump is an indication of tariffs now being kind of implemented into the prices here. So remember, this affects the consumer, not necessarily the distributor or the exporter. And as a result, we're paying more. So you can see how this trend is exhibited in multiple SKUs, not just the 3060 Ti. This is the more recent launch. So you can see this was pretty abrupt right in the beginning. But even RTX 3070s, remember this is MSRP here. This is not like third-party scalping prices. So if you look at the left side, this is between $400 and $600. That's fair. That's what NVIDIA said these should be sold for. But this bump right here is a result of the tariff waivers now ending. Same goes for the 3080 right here, and same goes for the 3090 more or less. Now, another interesting note is that PC Part Picker Price Trends also keeps track of RX 570 prices. Now, this is a several-year-old card, right? But it's very popular still because it's an entry-level card, good for 1080p gaming. You can get these in 4 and 8 gig variants. The prices here have pretty much been consistent throughout. It starts here at September 2019, ends February 2021. So you can see right up until about the middle of 2020, prices for 570s were relatively stable, between $100 and $200. This is brand new, mind you, and with other cards that are much better being launched during this time, slightly before this, it didn't really make much sense to buy these new. Granted, considering what we're seeing now, I guess it more or less would have made sense back then because they are selling for 2 or 3 times what they were selling for 6 months ago. So the price slowly started increasing here, and then right here, you see another little bump. Okay, it kind of dipped down closer toward Christmas. Then you have the new year, prices resurge, and then you have this huge spike right here after February. This right here, folks, is what I want to talk about a little later in the video. But I've been keeping track of a plethora of graphics card prices throughout 2020 and 2021, just trying to see how COVID and other things were affecting these markets. People want graphics cards. They're in high demand. They have been in high demand, but they have never been in more demand, I think, than now, especially with so many people stuck at home with nothing else to do. Now, screw it. I'll build a gaming PC. I'll stream from my house. I need a good graphics card to do that, so I'll go ahead and buy a graphics card. There you go. That kind of demand is what kept graphics cards not only fairly expensive, but also fairly difficult to obtain, especially in later 2020. But this bump right here is one of these that you don't see too often, and I'm hoping that it corrects itself soon. The problem is people are still buying these cards for upwards of $350, $400, It's insane. And then check this out. This is the RX 580. Now, if this doesn't tell you that mining has taken off again, I don't know what will. Prices were pretty stable again, around 200 bucks. 580s and 570s, there's not a huge difference there. Again, apart from the VRAM disparity between the 4 gig and 8 gig SKUs. But then we see this huge spike. Look at that. And it's still going up. Projections have this going up quite a bit more. This card is already above, it's at least in, but it's probably above $500 territory by this point in mid to late February. That is crazy. But this is happening. Okay, I want to make this clear. This is happening not because this is what sellers like are trying to make them worth. They are worth this because they are selling for this. This is simple supply and demand, folks. If these cards were not selling for $500 or $600, they wouldn't be listed for $500 or $600. I guarantee you, if we hopped on over to eBay, we'd see that these cards are selling en masse for at least double what they were 6 months ago. And then just to glance quickly at the RX 6800 and other RDNA 2 cards, you see right when it launched, prices were slowly increasing. Then we have this huge spike when the tariffs are implemented. Who knows what mining is doing to this market now. This one was even more noticeable. We can see right when the tariffs were implemented, just after the new year, boom, prices shoot up by, oh, this is at least 20%, 25%, actually more than that, closer to 30, 35%, from about 750 bucks to $1,000. That's pretty substantial. They've leveled off at around $1,000, slightly above that according to this source. And then $1,000 here for the 6900 XT, upwards of $1,500 today. Now, for those interested in historical sale prices for pretty much anything on eBay, I'm gonna show you how to do that very quickly. I was searching for RX 580s, but you wanna hop on over to this advanced button on the top right, and then you can type in your search words, keywords here, item numbers, and then you wanna click this box right here, sold listings, and then click search. And it will show you what these cards recently sold for. And these are the dates of the sale. So February 28th, that's today at the time of filming, $300, this 580 4 gig just sold for, plus $23.60 in shipping. Look at this, an RX 580 8 gig sold for $450 from Portugal today, plus $10 shipping. And these, mind you, are used cards. These are not brand new. So remember those PC part picker prices we were looking at earlier, those were for new cards. So RX 580s new were selling for over $500, and used, they're selling for something. Some of these 8 gig variants are selling for almost $500. Now there are, of course, other cards to consider on the used market. One that I've been preaching for years has been the GTX 1070, even the 1080, for about $200 for a 1070, $300 or so for a 1080, at least right before Ampere launched. These cards were pretty hot. And there were plenty of them available because people were slowly upgrading to either Turing or what would eventually be Ampere. So they were selling these in anticipation of those cards. Little did they know that those cards would be extremely difficult to obtain, so rip them. But anyway, these cards now are double, if not more, than what they used to be. So $460. This is a 1070 Ti. But that's freaking expensive. That's $150 more than what these cards were. These cards usually went for about $260 to $280, sometimes even $300 depending on the AIB. This right here is a regular old 1070 vanilla. I mean, it's an Asus card, but still $440. That's double what I would have paid 6 months ago. I still wouldn't pay this today. I mean, I know what market conditions are telling us, that this is the new equilibrium price for these cards because they're in such high demand on again, the backs of mining, the tariffs and the new market, trickling their way down to the used market. These sellers are smart. They realize when cards are selling quickly that they need to raise prices to account for that. Otherwise, I mean, you're just going to completely burn through inventory. You're not going to have anything left to sell. So you raise your prices to account for that additional demand. Again, on the back of largely mining at this point, but like $400 for GTX 1070. This is a cheaper Asus variant, and it's selling for $400. Right, $15 shipping tacked onto that. It's crazy. A lot of these are broken, and they're still selling for $168. I mean, who is buying broken GTX 1070s for almost $200? This is what they were selling for used in working condition 6 months ago, and people want to buy these for parts for the same price today. And this stuff just pisses me off. And the problem is there's no one to really blame. This is just natural market reaction to the plethora of circumstances that compounded themselves in early 2021. What can you do? I mean, you can't blame sellers for this, right? Sellers are just extracting as much value as they can out of used components. you or I would do the same. It's not our place to judge them for that, because at the end of the day, they're trying to maximize value just like we are on the buyer side, right? I mean, if someone sees the utility in $460 GTX 1070s, let them buy them for $460. You know, there's nothing you can do. And this one, by the way, did sell for $460. These are all in green. Prices in green indicate that they have sold for these prices. It's one of those things where you kind of just have to sit and sulk, because there's nothing we can do except wait for market conditions to change. Because right now, again, with mining as amped as it is, so many people want to mine for whatever reason. They're driving up the prices in both the new and used markets. Thankfully, this doesn't trickle down to other PC components, but the graphics card is it's a staple. You can't not game with a graphics card unless you have an APU. I mean, Godspeed there. I mean, 1080p medium to low settings. There aren't APUs out there that are consumer grade that are capable of high frame rate, high resolution gaming. And that's why we use discrete cards like these. These are designed specifically for things like gaming, not just gaming. People like to think that these cards are, gamers own these cards. We own this market. These are ours. That's not true. And regardless of whatever these are advertised as, these cards are great at many things. And that's why miners buy them. That's why content creators buy them. That's why, studios buy them in bulk. Because these cards do a plethora of things. They're good at not just gaming, but multiple things. And we are experiencing the climax of demand right now. I mean, we've got 1080 Ti selling for more than MSRP at this point. It just does not make... Somebody spent $1,159 on a GTX 1080 Ti for the Win 3. Does that compute with anybody? And if someone's looking for an RX 5600 XT, what do we have here? $630, $640, $640, $600, $600, $650, $750, $730. Good luck. Come on. So if you've been wondering why graphics cards have suddenly shot up in value in mid to late February, this is all why. I can only show you why things are happening the way they are. I can only show you why the market is reacting the way that it is. I cannot do anything about it. None of us can do anything. Someone messaged me on Twitter and was like, why are GTX 1070s $500? Can you please help? Like, I don't know what you want me to do. I mean, I've already upgraded so many viewers' PCs in the PCDC playlist. I have given away so many graphics cards. I don't have anything left to give away. I mean, if I give away all my inventory, I have nothing to test. I have nothing to build with. That's kind of like what I do on this channel. I feel bad for those who are stuck with, really expensive platforms, but no viable graphics card. Someone said he had like a 9900K or a 10900K and paired it with a GTX 1650. I mean, that's clearly a graphics card bottleneck 99% of the time in game, but there's nothing I can do about it. Ultimately, the only way to quickly correct these prices, when I say correct, I mean, again, this is market equilibrium. There's nothing wrong with these prices in that sense. They're being priced at what they are selling for. That is by definition equilibrium. So you can't say that the prices are all out of whack, the economics are broken, whatever. Sellers are just selling them for what they can sell them for. And you can't, again, fault them for that. But the only real way to correct this quickly is to not buy any of these cards for these prices. If you tell the seller that this is not worth this, and when I say if you tell them, I mean like the market. If you as the buyer base, consumer base, tell the market that these are not worth this, then prices will come down. Problem is, you're not going to be able to rally every human on earth to not spend what these people are spending on these cards. People are gonna see value in this, especially if you can make 10, 20, 30 bucks a day mining, whatever you happen to be mining. They don't really care about the initial cost. And what they'll do is they'll sell all of these cards in their mining farms again 5 or 6 months from now or whenever, and they'll recoup a lot of their initial investment. So they're not necessarily looking at this like a sunk cost, because they're going to resell these cards later. Sure, they might take a hit on the resale value, but at least they're getting some of that, but they're recovering some of their initial investment at the end of the day. And that's enough for them. So the upfront price is not a big deal. People who are serious about mining aren't looking at MSRP or whatever these cards are selling for now and thinking, wow, this is an awful deal. I mean, I'm sure it's crossing their mind that these are a bit high, but they're looking at the end game. They're looking at the long-term investment when it comes to mining, and that's why prices are so expensive, because they just don't care at the end of the day. A gamer buys one graphics card and it sits in his system for a year or two, right? That's a pretty big cost for you or I, because gaming for the most part doesn't make us any money. Unless you're streaming or you're a professional esports player or what have you, you're not going to make any money with your graphics card just sitting there. Miners are. They see, again, this is an investment opportunity, and that's why they're okay spending more for these cards, especially when they're in such high demand. And Ethereum and every other cryptocurrency, it seems like in the crypto market, is skyrocketing right now. They don't care about this relatively small upfront cost. That's why it's affecting pretty much the entire graphics card market, any card that's somewhat viable for mining. That on top of the fact that there's a worldwide chip shortage. I mean, what can you do? It's just a freaking cluster. But at least now, after watching this video, you hopefully understand why prices are the way they are and why they've gotten so much worse as of February 2021. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below expressing your dissatisfaction with the current state of affairs, and I will catch you in the next one. My name is Greg. Thanks for venting with me.